Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, brother. I'm doing great. I'm
So,
watching here, looking outside. This is my view. We just moved to Texas,
oh my goodness, where are you at?
and Texas is New Braunfels,
Where's that by? Is that close to Austin?
between San Antonio and Austin.
Okay, I'm your neighbor now. I'm from Louisiana, so
Oh, nice.
yeah,
With Joshua Quayhagen.
yeah, I like Quayhagen. I talked to him a while back after his last fight, actually.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's a great guy, man. I love that guy.
so before we get started, I wanted to share something with you. Like I said, I'm from Louisiana, and years ago, PFL came to New Orleans, and that's when you were still commentating for him, right?
Yeah.
So I'm there in the meet. I'm like, hey, it's Randy and Boss. That's really cool. So you pass by, you go to the desk to do some broadcasting, and Jumpin' Jack Flash by the Rolling Stones come on, and you get really excited. You're like, oh, the Rolling Stones. You start playing air guitar. And I look over, I'm like, this Boss, it's funny. He's about to go on this broadcast and he's playing air guitar first. And you see
Yeah.
me looking at you kind of laughing, and you point to me and all. I'm like, Boss, what's up?
Yeah, that sounds like me.
Oh man. So have you seen the Stones before live?
No, unfortunately not. My daughter had. I was very jealous. She went to the Stones concert. It's amazing, but he still is rocking it, right? Unbelievable,
Yeah.
freaking guys, man.
I saw Paul McCartney and the Rolling Stones within 3 months of each other, right before
You
the
see?
pandemic.
Oh yes, my daughter, same thing. Paul
Wow.
McCartney and the Stones. Yeah,
Yes, it was great concerts. All
yeah.
right, so let's talk karate.
Those.
So I've been following Karate Combat since the first event. The idea like intrigued me. I was like the pit. You had talked about it on I think Joe Rogan's podcast or something. I was like, well, that sounds amazing, and it has come so far since that first event.
Yeah.
I remember the black tie event in New York City in the skyscraper, and now you got the CGI and stuff. It's crazy. What does that look like from your point? You've been there since the start. What's Karate Combat? How's the growth been on your side?
It's been a steady growth. You see the social media, the posts, they get reactions, they have a lot of followers. It starts getting more and more because a lot of people still don't know. If you go, they get karate combat, what is that? I say, go to karate.com. It's one of those sports, and I always say this, it's if a 12-year-old comes home and he wants to watch the UFC or any mixed martial arts or bare knuckle boxing or something, his parents probably going to say no.
Yeah,
But if he says, "Hey, mom, I want to watch karate tonight," there's a big chance that the whole family is going to watch karate. And then to tell these people that have to have Olympic level athletes,
yeah.
karatekas fighting full contact. I mean, the respect between each other. It's something to see, man. I'm really happy with the whole organization.
So this next card has some big names on it. It has a giant fight at the top. What fight are you looking forward to the most?
Well, pretty much, of course, the main event, Joshua Quayhagen. That's it's going to be a great fight, but there's going to be a whole bunch of new guys also on it. But the most important one that I'm looking forward to, because I know Quayhagen and Rocha, that's going to be a crazy fight. I'm looking forward to that. But Raymond Daniels, man, I mean,
Yeah,
I've been a big fan of his for a long time, and he's so crazy. The things that he does. What I always tell my students, I say, if you do different, if you find different setups, different things, like everybody fights according to style, so to say.
right.
I always say, what does Kung Fu do in mixed martial arts? Well, you never know. Because if you fight only Kung Fu guys, it's a certain style. But if you throw them in MMA, then you're going to see how really effective they are, because that's fighting there.
Right.
And Raymond Daniels, every time when you do something new or different and something that you've never seen in training before, if your opponent does that to you, he's going to be effective with it because you can't tell it's coming because and Raymond is one of those guys. It's like a Sakuraba, doing crazy things. The judo chop, double Mongolian judo chop. Is it going to work? No, great distraction for the straight punch. So all the time he comes up with something new. And then when you see him making a 360 landing and then just instead of a kick knocking somebody out, I was like, dude, only he can do that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that fight.
It's crazy because you see people like in boxing, you have like Canelo's hands. He's practiced that so much to where he's perfect at it. And you got like wrestling right now. You've got Sadulayev out of Russia. He's phenomenal. And I feel like Raymond Daniels, when it comes to all around striking, that's kind of what he is. He's just kind of a virtuoso of it, I guess.
So accurate and so accurate with his kicks, and everything is a hit. And he jumps up with the front kick, he measures it, and then makes a spinning back kick, and he freaking knocks people out. It's insane what he does. And like you said, and again, in boxing, you were talking about it. TJ Dillashaw was with Lomachenko.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you saw the cut version, but Lomachenko was afterwards, he goes like, dude, because he was not used to that movement.
Yeah.
Because everybody has that same style. Well, TJ doesn't, switching stances, moving away, pop, there's a punch, and he really did well against freaking Lomachenko.
Yeah.
You see, so that's what different styles do. You can be as good as you want. I always say this, you can be a 5th degree black belt in jiu-jitsu. If there's a guy you're facing and he finds a setup to a certain submission that you've never seen before, chances are very high he's going to catch you. Now, in black, of course, he will catch you once and it will never happen again, because it's smart, but once is only one time you need, right, in order to win a fight. So be different. That's what I always say.
So what do you feel like Karate Combat that brings different from like striking promotions in the past? Because, there's like K1 and there's all these like Glory's kickboxing only. K1 kind of melded all the striking styles. What do you feel is different? I mean, the production value is what stands out to me, but as an analyst, as somebody that's behind the scenes, what do you feel like Adam does better than anybody else?
I think it's the way the pit, the 45-degree angle walls that people are allowed to use and run up. And then, like for instance, Rocha-Quayhagen, he has already like 2 corners in his gym right now because they're practicing that. In the beginning, you saw the people that didn't know what to do. And talk about the beginning. When you saw it, it was hilarious. You saw guys who already did kickboxing, and then you saw guys who came straight from the Olympics, and they would connect with a punch, and they would scream, and they would stop. And then the other guy was just keep going, and he goes, oh shit. So that guy started cross training right away, kickboxing, and now everybody starts growing up. And then the wall. Have you already seen a guy who takes somebody, lift somebody up because takedowns are allowed?
Yes.
And then he runs up the wall, so he gets more height, and he drops him down, or the Showtime, the Pettis kick, right? I mean,
beautiful.
The Showtime kick. What, you can do that on that wall perfectly. So I can only imagine what Raymond Daniels is going to come up with.
I didn't think about it.
Think about that.
Yeah, I did not. That's incredible. So another thing I want to talk about was the king of karate, Raphael Agaev. Is it me, or does he have really, really vicious ground and pound? Like, he likes doing that.
He's just an animal, man. That guy, you can see the folks. He's a really nice, well-spoken person, but you see him change once he gets in there. He gets real, And yes, I think him, also Adamov. I mean, these same guys. They have the same kind of style a little bit. I mean, take somebody down, and the ground and pound is just very hard. We already saw somebody getting stopped by ground and pound. We also already saw a guy getting dropped by and knocked the opponent out. So we start seeing more and more. And again, with the wall, you drive somebody in the corner, they can simply walk out of the corner because they walk up the wall and then they're back. And so you have to fight completely different than you're used to. You can't lock somebody up. You have to be more strategical, and that all combined, well, it opens doors. And that's why you have now guys like Rocha-Quayhagen building a 45-degree angle in the gym so they can practice.
So Karate Combat just added knees now.
Oh, man, I'm so happy with that. I mean, but when I came in, there was only long hooks. There was no uppercuts allowed.
I remember that.
You got to do uppercuts. I mean, and low kicks, the kicks to the thighs, and they want to stay away from that. I have a feeling with now, especially with allowing the knees, hopefully we can get it in there as well. But on the other side, now I'm stepping back and I'm kind of getting used to it. I go like, okay, now it's calf kicks. And you have to watch out with calf kicks because, if you have a different stance, you're going to kick a shin bone. And what we already saw, we were in Greece and, oh man, I can't believe the French guy. Oh my gosh!
Oh, I'm not sure.
How can I forget? It'll pop up in a second. Anyway, he's fighting to have an open stance. That means if you have an open stance, once it's a southpaw and once it's an orthodox fighter.
Right.
And he immediately throw an inside low kick. Now this shin on shin. So the first thing I say, David Donna. The first thing I say, commentating, I go, he shouldn't do that. It's a very dangerous thing. You can break your shin bone like that.
Yeah.
And as soon as the words left my mouth, he kicks again. And the shin broke in half. You see, so that's the thing with the calf kicks. If you calf kicks, they need to be on the outside. Don't kick on the inside. And with my stance, for instance, I have a different stance. I have a wide open stance. So my toes are pointing a little bit to the side. So for me, a calf kick on me is not going to work. You're going to hit my shin bone. If it's an inside calf kick, that's what I want because it's a very simple counter to to a kick like that, to block it, to counter. So I think a lot of these guys got to start changing their stances. They're a really karate stance, like Stephen Thompson, on the side. Yeah. They like to see Machida do, Lyoto Machida. But I think slowly but surely, they're going to start a little bit more forward. And guys from Kyokushin, they have a forward style. And you could see Edgar Scrivers, he was a guy who was very dominant. Mm-hmm. He even beat the champion, Luis Rocha, he beat. But Rocha he said, no, that was a fluke, and I want a rematch. And he beat all his opponents after that with the last two fights by knockout. And then he fought Scrivers again. And he always said to us, he says, if I fight him again, I'll knock him out. I don't know, man. Scrivers is a tough guy, but he knocked him out. Yeah. Now he's the champion, and now they're going to fight the catchweight against Joshua because he's the welterweight champion. Rocha is the lightweight champion. They're going to catch him in the middle. I think it's 158 or 160. That's what something like that. So I think it's going to be an awesome fight. It's two different styles completely. You see the American karate from Quayhagen. He's more elusive, and he keeps the fighter on the outside of his punches. And Rocha just plants his feet, and he wants to go for a knockout, which is very logical. If you train with the Pitbull brothers, you're
you gotta be. You gotta be. So we were talking about the rule set, and one of the really interesting rule sets we were talking about ground and pound with Agaev is the 5-second ground and pound. Now, one thing I notice is people will just shell up, they'll cover up. But I noticed something in Gabriel Varga's fight with Bruno Assis. So he got taken down, and he went for a sweep. He went to sweep Assis instead of just shelling up, taking the ground and pound. I thought, man, that's an area that's been ignored, but that could be very useful, especially with people throwing down hammers like Agaev does.
Yeah, and you already see guys now also who start up kicking immediately. Yeah. They fall going to start up kicking, and it's legal. The good thing about also, this is a fun thing to say, like if you're grounded, the person on top, he cannot kick anymore, right? But if you fall with your back against the wall, you're not considered down. That's not a down opponent. So at that moment, you can sweep the legs, you can kick, because you can sweep the leg here. It's not karate, the Karate Kid. But there's a whole new plethora opens up with things that you can do once somebody lands on his back on the wall, because then he's not considered down. You can do anything you want.
It's interesting because that 45-degree wall gives you opportunity to find new techniques that you wouldn't find in mixed martial arts that are in a traditional cage or a ring.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm looking for the freaking Andy Hook thing. The Andy Hook at the K1. I was there actually because that was when Peter Ertz fought against not Sam Greco. The guy who unfortunately he committed suicide from Australia. Again, it will pop up in a second. But Peter was buttering up his legs, and then Peter got caught. So then that was the second fight of the night. There were 3 fights in one night. Then he went to the finals and he had to fight Andy Hook. But his legs were Bernardo. His legs were already messed up from the low kicks. And then Andy Hook, man, the smart guy, he made it Ushiro Mowashi Geidangiri kick to the legs with the heel, one kick, and the fight was over because the leg was already hurt. So I want to see that kind of stuff, like Ross Levine, what he did. Did you see that knockout that he had against El Matador? He fell against the wall, he messed it out, and a spinning and Ushiro Mowashi to the head, and he knocked him out like that. Like you see, and you can do that also to the legs because it's legal, and they will flip. Then he's ground, and then you can start ground and pounding.
There's a whole bunch of new techniques. I love that so much. So what do you think about the cast you got around you? Machida, GSP, Josh Palmer, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. It seems like they got the who's who of karate over there, right?
It's such a pleasure to work with these guys. And I always say this, the respect in karate. With George St. Pierre, with Lyoto Machida, with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, like normally when you work with, I worked with a lot of athletes, and from different sports. And once you get paid like millions of dollars, they become a little weird. If they say they have to do a certain thing, it's from 6 to 7. But if it gets 1 minute past 7, some start already complaining because they don't want to do it. These guys, they will never complain. Oh, we need another shot, whatever. Nobody will ever say, you know what, I kind of want to stop. And that's the karate mentality, It's just respect, knowing that, well, things go wrong, and it can happen to everybody. So let's just all work together. And the respect, like I said before, we saw guys, they really didn't like each other. That was in Greece also. They got in each other's face. That was also with Dona and James Brown, I thought.
Jerome Brown, I talked to him, and he was like livid about that fight. Didn't the guy miss weight or something like that?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy. But anyway, they get in each other's face. They're very angry. But as soon as they stop, they step back. They both bow at each other again, and everything is good. It's like, what the heck? Why can't every fighter be
That's
like
martial
that?
arts.
You know,
That's martial arts for you. It teaches you that form of respect.
100%.
All right, two more questions. I don't want to keep you too much longer, boss. I gotta talk a little bit of UFC for you. Francis Ngannou and Jon Jones is the fight everybody wants to see. You're the former heavyweight champion. How does that fight go down?
Oof. Now, let me just say, if I would fight now, I wouldn't fight heavyweight anymore. Listen, when I fought Randleman, I was too light. Yeah. I was 197. I literally had to drink waters at the weigh-ins to get over 200 pounds. Otherwise, it was not going to be a title fight. So, and I was standing there with my jeans already on the scale. Yeah. So, and now you fight a guy. If I stand next to Jon Jones, he's this. He's a tall guy, and he's got so much power. Size does matter. What I need to, what I want in MMA, and I've been advocating this for a long time, is a cruiserweight. That's what we need in MMA. I truly believe it. I think the leap to 205 and 265 is way too hard. Imagine you're 220, and you really can't cut down to under 205. Now you fight a guy like an Ngannou, who probably is 265, but on the day of the fight, probably 275. And maybe even 280 pounds. You see, and that guy with technique, and now they're black belts in jiu-jitsu. Now, size does matter, man. Yes. And they all have a full load of stamina. In the early days, you fight a big guy, okay, I got to weather the storm for a couple of minutes. But then once I did that, they're going to get tired. And then you're going to look really good because you're beating up a bigger guy. But nowadays, they're all in shape.
Yeah,
it's a very scary world out
monsters. They're all monsters for sure. But now, how do you see Jones and Francis playing out? Francis has just got the touch of death, it seems like.
I know, but Jones, man. I mean,
that's
I was holding focus mitts for Jon Jones one time, also before a fight, because I was interviewing him, and he asked me, "What are you going to do tonight?" I said, "Well, I'm going to go back to the hotel." I mean, "Can you train?" I said, "Sure." And I started training with him, and there were these minuscule little things that I say, if you would do this, just a few things. It was not like I'm giving him instructions. Freaking Jon Jones, he knows everything. But the things that I would tell him, he would immediately absorb, and he would do it immediately. I was talking about sound effects. He get in his head to make him hit faster. And he was literally, because I remember the 4 points, pa, 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 pa. And I go, "Dude, you're much faster than this." I said, "Just do this in your mind. Think this, ta, 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 high-pitched sounds." And he goes, "Okay." And he goes, pa, 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 pam. And he looks at me and he goes, like, "What the heck?" I go, "It's your mind, you can do these things." Like with me, everything is rhythms. If I say two and a cross hook, that is 1, 2, cross hook. In my mind, as soon as I throw it, I got ta-ta, ta-ta, boom, 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 because the beat is the reload, so to say. So he picks up really fast. Ngannou is a very strong guy. He's doing great with wrestling, as we already saw.
He's improved, yeah.
And he's doing the bang system, right, at the Extreme Couture. That's why he's suddenly starting to be light on his feet, switching stances. That makes him a very dangerous fighter. But Jon Jones, his takedowns, I mean, he took Cormier down. Well, good luck with that. You see, so I see that he's got such a great striking skills. He's got such a crazy reach. He will set up takedowns, and then he'll go for a takedown on the ground. He's just a very hard guy to handle. So if Ngannou can keep it on the feet, if he touches him. But I think it goes both ways. I believe that Jon Jones has the power also to knock pretty much anybody out. So that's a very hard fight to call. If you have to bet, I don't know, man.
Flip a coin.
If you have to, I think Jones, because I think he is just a little bit more all-round. He's been doing the wrestling for a longer time.
Yeah, Francis isn't going to be able to wrestle against him like he would against Cyril Gane, because Gane's a kickboxer. Yeah. All right, so last question. Why should everybody tune in to Karate Combat 35 on August 27th?
They should tune in, first of all, because it's free. It starts with that. And second of all, it's like I said, with all the good things that we just talked about, with the wall, and where we are. Every time we're in a different place. We've been in the past. We've been into the future. We've been in space. We do all these crazy things. Right now, at the backlot of Universal Studios, that room there, everything, what you see around it, it's all projected on screens. It looks like you're in a complete different world.
It's crazy.
And then to see guys like that fight, like a Quayhagen and Rocha, and especially Raymond Daniels is going to happen. Listen, that whole card is crazy. I mean, the ladies that we have, Omaira Molina, I mean, she's doing freaking awesome. There's some vicious ladies in there as well. So I would just go and watch it. I know, go to karate.com, very easy. They still didn't tell me how much it cost them, that domain, because I wondered. I go, that's a hard name. It cost them a lot of money, I think.
Yeah.
But karate.com is very easy. Watch some fights, and I'm pretty sure if you watch those fights, then you're going to go, okay, I want to see this show.